Earlier this week, DJI released the Mic Mini, and as you may see, I'm actually wearing one right now. I actually just bought the transmitter because when it comes to the Mic 2s, I've been using them for about a year now, and they work fantastic. But when it comes to using it with the Osmo Pocket 3, I literally just use the transmitter. When it comes to using it with my more professional cameras, then yeah, I use it with sometimes a lav or I use the internal recording. Now today, my testing of the Mic Mini is going to be more unconventional than a lot of the other videos you've seen because I'm taking this thing on my bike and I'm gonna bike around downtown in the beach and test to see how this thing sounds, which hasn't really been seen in any of the other reviews. I also bought this transmitter instead of having it given to me by DJI, so I am going to be unbiased. If I like it, I'm going to continue using it. If I don't, I'll figure out something to do because it wasn't that expensive. But I just want to let you all know that up front, just because I guess I'm so happy with the Osmo Pocket. I've had questions if the Pocket was given to me, and it wasn't. I bought this thing over a year ago, and I use it all the time when it comes to vlogging just because of how convenient it is and how good the image quality is. So this Mic Mini is about half the size of the Mic 2, but as you can see, there's some benefits. Like for instance, I have it on this shirt and it's not dragging the shirt down. It's less than half the weight and it's less than half the size of the Mic 2. When I use this Mini with the Osmo Pocket, it's exactly like I was using the Mic 2, but I think it may have some benefits. So in today's video, I'm gonna go around testing the Mic Mini and see, is it worth it? Now, I just bought the transmitter itself. I didn't buy the whole kit because I do own the Mic 2s. And I think if you're just using this with the Osmo Pocket or the Action 5 and you don't need two transmitters, or maybe you're just going to use this paired with these cameras, it may make more sense just to buy it just as the transmitter. But let's test this thing. We'll see how it works when I do my typical biking through downtown. So one of the things I noticed right off the bat with the DJI Mini is it works really great with the Osmo Pocket case. I put this thing on the top of the case and it fits even better than the Mic 2 did just because of how much smaller and thinner it is. Now I'm biking down the Riverwalk and I'm not going super fast yet, but this is how it sounds with no voice isolation on whatsoever. Now this is what it's going to sound with voice isolation added in post-production. Now again, I'm not going super fast yet, but I'm assuming it's probably super quiet now with the voice isolation added in post. But now I need to add the voice isolation with the actual Mini itself. All right, so that took me a second, but now I have the voice isolation added in the actual transmitter itself, so I don't have to use it in post. And I know it doesn't work as well as the post-production one, but it definitely does help if you don't know how to do it in post-production or you don't have access to something like DaVinci Resolve or any type of NLE that will give you voice isolation. So this is how it sounds. And then I'm going to add some voice isolation in DaVinci on top of that. So now this is what it sounds with double voice isolation using the internal voice isolation and DaVinci. I typically just like using voice isolation in DaVinci because I find it actually works better than even the internal voice isolation in these transmitters. So let's turn this voice isolation off. Now toggling with the voice isolation, it made me realize there is a huge feature missing on the Mini that the Mic 2 has that I haven't heard, and it's the haptic feedback, which I super rely on when I'm vlogging. So the haptic feedback is when you turn the device on, off, you start linking things, you do stuff, the actual transmitter starts vibrating and letting you know and confirming the action that you did. But on the Mini, I get it, it's much smaller, so there isn't any of that haptic feedback. There are a few other features missing. It doesn't have the built-in USB-C port, so you do need the included magnetic charger, which isn't really a big deal. But then it also doesn't have internal recording. Now, when I'm using this Mini or I'm using any transmitter to vlog with the Osmo Pocket, I don't really need internal recording. That hasn't really been something that I use at all when it comes to vlogging. But when it comes to professional work, yeah, I absolutely use the internal recording as redundancy, but I don't see myself using these Minis for professional recordings. And I think that's going to be the big difference here. All right, now we're getting on the road where it's going to be a little bit louder. Now, if you're buying the Mini, I think if you just own an Osmo Pocket 3 or an Action 5, buying just the transmitter may make the most sense because it's really inexpensive and it pairs straight to your device. And if you already own the Mic 2s, well, you already have a device that has all these extra features that are more professional and you could hook it up to your phone. It comes with a transmitter. And I'm wondering if they end up doing a firmware update to the Mic 2 and maybe the Mic 2 receiver will let us use the Mini. I don't know, maybe wishful thinking, but it's a possibility. As of right now, it doesn't. I've already tried, but there hasn't been a firmware update in a little bit for the Mini 2 at all. But if they do add the ability for us to use these minis with our Mic 2 receiver, then it completely eliminates the reason to buy the actual kit for the Mini if you already own a Mic 2 kit. However, if you don't own a Mic 2 or you don't own an Osmo Pocket 3, then buying the full kit makes the most sense because you're going to need that receiver, where Pocket 3 owners and Osmo Action 5 owners, luckily you have that built in. Now here we go, going through Las Olas, and I got a little bit more speed, so this is what it's gonna sound like with a little bit of speed and no voice isolation added. I'm sure it's pretty windy. And then here's what it's gonna sound like with voice isolation added, and it should eliminate pretty much all the noise, if not most of it. We're gonna take this thing down to the beach where it's gonna be the real test, because today it seems like it's a kind of a windy day, so it's the perfect day to test out all the different voice isolation modes in this thing. All right, so now we're biking down the beach and the wind is picking up. So this is gonna be the real test of today. How does this Mic Mini sound when we're at the beach and I'm going around 20 miles an hour with wind constantly on my back? I am getting berated here with wind, but I'm not putting voice isolation on yet. Obviously with voice isolation on, you're gonna hear nothing. It's gonna be pretty quiet, and that's the main comment I've got from a lot of my bike videos, that they are surprised how quiet the audio is for me biking at a relatively fast speed. And that's one of the reasons I love the Osmo Pocket and Mic 2 system. But I want to see if I can get the same effect when using the Mic Mini. So I'm going to stop here in a second, turn on voice isolation in the Mic Mini, and see how good it works compared to the voice isolation in DaVinci. All right, now the voice isolation should be on in the actual transmitter itself. And now you're seeing when I'm getting hit with full wind here at the beach, how does the voice isolation sound in the Mini itself? Now, I'm going to assume it's good. It's probably not as good as voice isolation in DaVinci. Now let's do the double trouble. Let's add voice isolation in DaVinci and see how it sounds paired with the voice isolation in the actual transmitter. And I'm going to bet it still probably sounds pretty good. Probably doesn't sound much better than just using voice isolation with the normal audio. As I mentioned earlier, the lack of haptic feedback definitely makes it harder to tell if I put voice isolation on or off, because I don't get that vibration when I turn it on. But it's not the end of the world. I do have to go over and look because it's just a single press of the power button, and then it turns on. So what we're gonna do now is wrap up here. It is kind of a gloomy day out. I'm gonna go test the audio on the computer, see how it sounds, and kind of come up with some conclusions, because without hearing the audio, I can't really give you any solid conclusions out here in the field. As you can see, this is the DJI Mic Mini up close, and it is incredibly small. Now, to do this part of the video, I'm actually using my Mic 2 right here. I have it attached to the same shirt I had the Mini attached to earlier. And as you can see, there's a little bit of a drag. As you can probably see, I'm looking at the camera right now, it pulls the shirt down. Not like crazy, but it definitely does, where I couldn't even feel the Mini on my shirt. And now, listening to all the audio from the video I took today, very happy with the audio quality from the Mini. And this is definitely going to replace my Mic 2 for all of my Osmo Pocket vlogging type content. I do want to test this out with the Osmo Action 5. I think I'll do a video maybe tomorrow or later this week where I test this with the Action 5 and the Osmo Pocket 3, just to see if there is any audio quality difference. If you have DaVinci Resolve Studio, the voice isolation in DaVinci Resolve Studio is better than the voice isolation built into the transmitter. It was the same for the Mic 2, but it's good to know. If you don't have access to DaVinci Resolve Studio, then the voice isolation built into this is going to be better than not having it at all. But you eliminate most of the noise with the DaVinci voice isolation, where this eliminates some of the noise. I want to go and say maybe 50%, where the voice isolation in DaVinci is more like 80% of the noise, which it makes a big difference. So very happy with the Mini overall. And I'm very happy that I got just the transmitter, because I don't know if I would ever use two of these. And I definitely think in situations where I would need a receiver, like now where I have the Mic 2 plugged into my Sony FX30 with the receiver on the hot shoe jack with that whole hot shoe adapter that DJI made for the Sony cameras, I'm going to be using the Mic 2 in these situations where I'm using a mirrorless camera. I'm probably not going to be using the Mini in most of the situations, again, where I'm using the Mic 2. If it's more professional, I'm going to be using a lav. When it's more for YouTube, I'm going to be using just the transmitter. And I think any situation moving forward that is just going to be the transmitter, I'll be using the Mic Mini. And at that point, let's see. Hopefully, if we're lucky, maybe there'll be a firmware update for the Mic 2 to where the actual transmitter will be able to be paired with this little mini, since this mini can pair with other devices that use the Mic 2s. We'll see. I haven't seen anybody talking about it because they haven't said anything about this happening, but as the Osmo Pocket was able to do it just with a firmware update, I'm assuming that the Mic 2 can do it. The only reason it wouldn't happen is because DJI would want to try to make some kind of divide between the actual Mic Mini and the Mic 2. So we'll see. If you have any questions about the DJI Mic Mini, the Mic 2, anything I've been discussing on the channel lately, let me know in the comments below. And if you got knowledge and value out of today's video, please make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to keep up to date with the latest videos on the channel. And until next time, my name's Jeff Fagien. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.